Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Don't Watch Movies with me, Monze.
And me, Corinne.
Woo! Do, 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 do. We don't watch movies. All right, anyway.
Wow, those lyrics.
Upgrading our terrible theme to have the name of our podcast in there.
Yeah, I like it.
And that's just how I roll.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really stepping up the game.
She really is.
I don't know
every
why
week.
it decided to check to see if I was recording when I literally started a minute ago saying I'm recording. Anyway. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's episode, to our podcast where we talk about movies we don't watch. Mm-hmm. And this week we are talking about The Brutalist.
Woo!
Woo!
Or dun dun
recent
dun.
film. Oh, dun dun dun. Oscar award-winning The Brutalist.
Oh.
Best actor for Adrian Brody.
Yep.
Who was the other one? What were the other ones? I think best cinematography.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. I'm not surprised. Just based solely from the poster.
And best original score.
Who's the composer?
Great question. Don't know. You could Google that yourself.
Thank you. I'm like, is it Alexander Desplat?
Hold on. Daniel Bloomberg.
Oh, I don't know what he's done.
I don't know, but his picture is scary and it's not in focus, and I don't like it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right, so we're doing The Brutalist because we both want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen this movie for two very different reasons, I think, unless it's the same reasons.
I just haven't gotten around to it, and I have no idea what it's about, and I have to vet my movies beforehand.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I had a student who asked me the other day, this week, she was like, Miss Lozano, what's a movie that you watched that you didn't like? And I was like, I don't watch movies I don't like. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, I literally don't watch a movie unless I think I'm gonna like it. Like, I just don't. I'm like, if I've seen a movie I don't like, it's because someone else made me watch it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Not saying it's you, but I'm saying, yeah, right? Like,
no, I'm saying guilty.
Obviously, like, I know what I like, and I can tell by looking at a movie, like, whether it's going to be good or bad, or even, like, it doesn't have the elements that I would enjoy, even if it's not a good movie.
Yeah. I feel the same way,
Yeah, and she just kind of looked at me like, huh, okay, and I was like kids these days, they just don't get it.
Yeah, like, I don't understand intentionally watching a movie that is bad. Like, it's bad and there's not even anything redeeming for you. Like, I will rewatch disaster movies, and I know they're not good, but I really like them. To me, they're good, right? To me, they're amazing, and I'm responding a certain way. And I know that's why some people like watching, like, bad movies. But if I'm hearing it's bad, and there's nothing about it that's, like, interesting to me, why am I going to watch? Like, The Room, I don't understand. Like, I watched The Room once in college.
Like, it's just bad.
And I'm like, okay, that's it. But people have, like, room watch parties. They're like, let's watch The Room. Like, when people are like, let's watch it again or later, I'm like, I don't need to watch it again. Like, I watched it once. It was a waste of my life.
Enough. Yeah. And an hour and a half I'll never get back.
Exactly. I don't even know. But it's like, I don't need more of it. I already know the jokes. So I don't need to watch it again, so, yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Okay,
why haven't you seen The Brutalist?
I haven't seen The Brutalist because I refuse to watch a movie that's 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Right. That's right.
Yes. We discussed this off podcast.
Isn't Lord of the Rings like 3.5 hours?
I think maybe an extended edition.
Which you've seen.
But it's Lord of the
Rings. You watch every year.
I don't watch it every year.
Every other year?
I don't know how often I watch it, actually. I feel like sometimes I'm like, I want to watch it, and then I don't, but it feels like I've watched it. Maybe because I've seen it quite a number of times. Mm-hmm. Lord of the Rings, this is now just a side note, because this is what's happening. I didn't like Lord of the Rings growing up. My older sister liked Lord of the Rings. I think she liked Orlando Bloom, so she had the movies. And she would be like, oh, it's Lord of the Rings. And I'd be like, ugh, stupid Orlando Bloom and your weird movies. I don't want to watch this. And then I don't know what happened, and it's just one day I think I just was like, Monze, you're a giant nerd. You need to stop trying to act like you're cool. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that I was acting like I was too cool for Lord of the Rings, but I feel like I had put it into the section of my brain that was like, this is the dumb stuff my sister likes, you know? Like a little boy. And so then I think just one day I was like, you know what, this is what's up. Like, this is like, I like this, you know what I'm saying? And it just became like, yeah, my life now. And
that's so interesting because
it's so interesting.
I feel like such a strong facet of you as a person is your love for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, a huge part of my personality is like my love. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. But I would say it's very new.
Oh. But also, I'm not surprised by the journey it took to get there because it reminds me of your attitude towards pop music, towards
it's my
K-pop,
attitude towards a lot
towards
of things.
K-drama, towards
everything.
Like literally everything.
I always want to fucking die on a hill for no reason. I just want to be like, I'm too good for this, or like, I don't want that, or whatever. And then it just be like, Monze, you're just so basic. Just like embrace the nerdiness in you. Embrace the fact that you know you're gonna like this.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom is kind of the same way because, like, I would be watching my K-dramas and she'd be like, what are you watching? Like, this is so dumb. And now she's got like her shows. And she, you know? And I was like, imagine, like, Mom, 2 years ago, you were making fun of us, and now look at you. When Jules and I are watching something, she's there like, what's the name of this one? You know, like,
isn't that this guy from this and this?
Yeah, she recognized, oh yeah, we were watching one drama, and she was like, that guy finally looks good. He never looks good in anything. I'm like, he's finally dressed well. I'm like, Mom, what like a mean thing to say about this actor? But yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, I came by that honestly.
Yeah.
But yes, while I have seen Lord of the Rings, and yes, I've seen the extended editions, yes, they are probably 3 to 3.5 hours long. That's like the rare exception.
Okay.
Right? And I think that's because I've seen it when it was maybe 2.5 hours long. I just feel like, especially in this day and age, movies should not thank you for holding that mic to me. I'm getting on my fucking soapbox. Movies are no longer 90 minutes long, and that was the standard. And movies should just be 90 minutes long. Like, if we're gonna make a movie 3 fucking hours, make it a limited series.
Yeah.
If we're gonna make movies 2-part fucking movies, I hate 2-part fucking movies. I love The Hobbit, but it would have been
it did not
an
need
actually
to be
good film if it was one film.
Yeah. Thank you. That movie could have been, like, my dad, because my dad is, like, a huge nerd and very, like, loves Lord of the Rings, loves Star Wars, loves The Hobbit. Like, he had all the books. That was my introduction into them, was because we had always had them, and he likes the series. But he was like, The Hobbit, I don't know how they're making it this whole series. That's, like, a short little book. That could just be a movie. So, yeah, I agree. I think it would have been a really great single movie. Because that was...
it would have been really great single movie. Yeah. But, of course, because of the way the Hollywood studio system works today, those executives want to milk every single dime out of us. And look at where we are today, where everything is, non-original IP. But anyway, that's a different soapbox.
It's a different story.
Kick that box somewhere else. But I just don't think movies should be that long. It just shouldn't, right? Like, especially because people are constantly being like, TikTok has ruined, and the short video format and Instagram and whatever has ruined, like, our attention span. And it's true, right? Like, the fact that you think you're gonna get everyday people into the theater for a 3.5 hour movie, like, it's insane. Because I was like, okay, The Brutalist, because I've seen the trailer like 3 times. Because I go to my, my local neighborhood artsy-fartsy, theater. And I've seen the trailer, and I was like, this movie looks good. It looks interesting. But then when I looked it up, and I saw it was 3.5 hours, I said, fuck no. I refuse. Because it's just like, at that point, it's, I don't know, you're just trying to make a point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I feel like, I don't think I'm against a 3.5 movie on principle, but it makes me question, like, okay, what was going on in this editing room? Like, I'm going to look at a 3.5 hour movie a bit more, with more scrutiny, because I'm going to be thinking, like, did you need everything?
Did you need this scene?
Yeah.
Right?
Did
Does
you
the scene
need
add to anything?
all of this, right? Like, is
Yeah.
it integral to telling this story that you need all of this stuff, that it has to be paced in this way, that like what is, there needs to be an intent behind that runtime, in my opinion. And like, I do think combating the shorter attention span is forcing people to watch longer things and forcing people to wait for payoff. Like, so, but at the same time, like, I also see what you're saying. Like, it's an interesting, like, from a marketing standpoint or business standpoint, it's like, why? But yeah, it's like, why not a mini series? But then, like, you know, the bigness of a movie, the scale of a movie, I could see. For,
yeah.
You know.
I mean, I think especially for a film like this, once we get into it, because I think you know nothing about it.
I know nothing about
so
it.
I'm not going to ruin anything about it, because I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But I think, especially because of what it's about, it makes sense for it to be on a large screen.
Yeah.
But again, I just...
3.5 hours is a long... That's a big ask. That's a big ask of your audience.
And that's what I'm saying. It's a big ask.
Like, even, like, before TikTok, that's a big ask.
No, yeah.
You know? Like, we need a built-in intermission and everything.
And, of course, I don't know how this movie is, but, like, back in the day, like, Sound of Music, long-ass movie.
Yeah, that's a long movie.
But guess what? There's a fucking intermission.
Yeah. Bathroom break.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My Fair Lady, intermission.
Yeah.
You know? I think even like Hello Dolly. Again, and these are adapted from whatever.
Fiddler on the Roof had an intermission too.
Fiddler on the Roof, right? Like, again, you could say, well, they're adapted from Broadway, so they're going to have an intermission. The intermission's already built in there. But I'm trying to think if there was another movie I watched recently. Oh, A Great Race. The Great Race, Edward Blake's Great Race, from 1966, possibly. He's got Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, Natalie Wood. And that's an original story. But there was a friggin' intermission in the middle of it. And it's like, you know what? That's nice. Because if you are asking people to come to the movie theater to watch a 3.5-hour movie, 3-hour movie, even a 2.5-hour movie, give them an intermission. Give them a potty break so they don't miss anything. Let them go get more snacks so they can be content while they are there, or if they forgot to or didn't want to get snacks because the line was long, they can go get it. You know what? Maybe that's just what I'm fighting for. Bring back fucking intermissions.
Bring back intermissions.
Bring back intermissions. If you're gonna make me sit there for 3.5 hours, give me a goddamn intermission.
Yeah. It's like, I can't sit for that long. I'm gonna get a blood clot.
No, even if the seats are so comfy, I'm still gonna be over here. No one can see me doing my crazy movements, but you know. From this butt cheek to this butt cheek, lifting this leg, that leg, resting on this arm, like, it's just, give me intermission. Bring back intermissions.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
It's the hill I'm gonna die on.
This is the hill.
This is the hill.
This is the actual hill.
You thought it was gonna be 90-minute movies, and I still will die on my hill.
I like a good, clean 90-minute movie. Like, Flow was like 75 minutes. It was less than 90 minutes. A movie that is 90 minutes, perfect. Yeah.
Because you know what? That pacing's gonna be boom, 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 boom. Yeah. We get to the point. We hit our inciting incident, like, within those first 10 minutes. Yeah. I am on a fucking journey, and it hits nice. It doesn't even matter sometimes how bad the movie is. Like, it just hits nice.
It just goes through.
And you're not like, I sat through 3 hours and the movie was terrible. It's like, no. I only lost an hour and a half of my time, and it was okay. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree.
All right, so, different reasons we haven't seen the movie. Corinne, what do you think this movie is about?
So I think Adrian Brody, he's like a Hungarian Holocaust survivor, and he comes to the U.S. Post World War II. And I think he invents brutalism, except it's not a real story, so he probably doesn't actually invent it, but he's an architect, and all his architecture is brutalist architecture. And what was this? This was like Art Deco time, I think, in the U.S., if I'm not mistaken.
Now, I don't want to sound really dumb.
Okay.
But what is brutalism as a architecture, like, form of architecture? Like, what is that?
I might be wrong. Here's my guess, and then we'll look it up. I think it's like really big, imposing kind of just concrete block sort of thing. It's like very like solid, very concrete heavy. It's not ornamental. It's very utilitarian from my understanding. That's kind of what I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's look it up.
Yeah, because when I heard the title, I was like, what does this mean? And I had no idea what it was kind of going to be about. And then I still didn't get it. And you were like, brutalist architecture. And I was like, oh, it's a style, but I don't know what it is. So I'm even just on the wiki page.
All right. Emerged in the 1950s, characterized by minimalist constructions that showcase the bare building materials and structural elements over decorative design. The style commonly makes use of exposed unpainted concrete or brick angular geometric shapes and a predominantly monochrome color palette. Other materials such as steel, timber, and glass are also featured. Okay, so I wasn't that far off.
Mm-hmm. They're saying it looks like the DC Underground subway is brutalist. Washington Metro Station's interior ceilings are brutalist.
Yeah, if you look on the...
I see that.
Yeah, it's like...
I know, I've been there, so I'm just like, oh.
It's very slabby, you know?
Yes, I see it.
Boston City Hall. Just very
It
rectangular.
gives, like, tenement a bit.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, like, very, I don't know if this is, like, I'm saying Soviet, but, like...
Yeah, it is. It's, UK brutalism was featured in the design of utilitarian, low-cost social housing influenced by socialist principles and soon spread to other places around the world while being echoed by similar styles in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not far off. All right.
Yeah. So I think I feel more confident now. I think he's like, now that I'm like, oh, it came in the 1950s and was a reaction to the 1940s, and that was like the whole, Art Deco sort of thing. So I'm like, okay, now it's making more sense. So I think he's introducing it to the U.S., and the U.S. is like, whoa, what? And it's about him. It's like an immigrant story. It's the American dream. It's him, and I think it's like kind of the classic, he suggests the blueprint, and they're like, no, this is ugly. No one's going to like this. But he goes through with it anyways. And then it's so different that people are reacting to it. And it's kind of one of those, like, tortured genius moments where, like, he's kind of quiet about it. Classic. And,
classic Adrian Brody.
Classic. And I think, like, for a while he gets really popular because it's so new. Like, someone gets it. One important person gets it. So he's getting all this stuff. But then, as his career rises, his personal life descends.
Oh, no.
So now the personal life strife, it's like rock bottom, and he starts putting everything into the professional life, and now the professional life is now also starting to sink. So now he's losing everything now, and now he has to like scrape his way back. And maybe there's another new brutalist architect who is inspired by him, but now he's like better than him or something, and now he's dealing with, I came here.
So it sounds like you feel like you're seeing his rise and his downfall?
That's what I think. And then his kind of like settling into, okay, well, what is going to make him satisfied, or is he never going to be satisfied? That's what I think the story is going to be.
Is he never going to be satisfied? Wow.
Yeah.
So after 3.5 hours, you're like, no satisfaction, no real ending.
Yeah.
You sat here and for what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what do you think the story is?
I think it's more or less what you said. I know that he is like a Holocaust survivor. He comes to the United States. I think he's been like he's hired by someone. Like he was an architect. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I need an architect. I hear you're really good at building things quickly. So will you come here to build this? So I feel like it's less like he is a brutalist, maybe, so much as like, because the job requires him to build maybe something quickly, he has no choice but to do it in that style. Because I know that there's the stupid guy. What's his name? Guy
Fieri.
I want to say Guy Fieri. Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Fieri.
My next guess was Guy Ritchie.
Like, I know he's there, and I think he's the one who hires him. So I feel like he's like, I brought you here. Like, you're gonna build it the way I want to build it. Just do your job. And I'm assuming his wife is like, we came to this country for a better life, and if this is what we need to do, don't worry about it. We all know you're amazing. And he's like, all right. And maybe part of it is like he has a dream of doing it one way, and that guy has his way of like his vision, and it's like a clash. I don't know, maybe in the end both styles meet and you end up with like maybe this brutalist structure that is sort of a vision of both. And that's what he becomes famous for. Maybe he maybe he doesn't like it. Maybe he's like, this reminds me too much of the old country. I don't like it or whatever. And yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. I like the idea of he's getting well known for a style he actually hates. That's interesting. Yeah.
I'm trying to add complications.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see.
I sent you the trailer.
Yes, you did.
I like how the Pink Pony Club cover by Rick Astley is my top recommended on the side because you sent me that video.
It was my top recommended again. So it's a good video though. It's a good cover.
It's a really good cover.
Yeah.
It's a very good cover.
You can tell he really likes the song. He was so into it. When he put the cowboy hat on.
He's played it at like his concerts.
Aww, that's so nice. Yeah. It really spoke to him, apparently.
Apparently. Girl, let me down. Dang, Rick Astley, go on.
I know. All right. He still got it. He still looks good too.
He does.
Really
he's such a
good
good singer. It makes me really sad that like most people just know him because of the "Never Gonna Give You Up" song.
It makes me sad, but like that man must have been rolling in the YouTube royalties like that.
That's true.
You know,
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
I have a QR code on my water bottle. That's literally to the.
Is it really? That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, this trailer. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. A24. That's not Adrian Brody.
Is alive.
Oh.
What? All of them?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
He's an accomplished foreign architect, shoveling coal here in Philadelphia.
Oh.
It is not so simple.
New American masterpiece.
There was a war, and yet many of the sites of my projects had survived.
Oh.
Buildings were devised to endure such erosion of shoreline.
I hate Guy Pearce. Like, he just looks like an icky person. He probably isn't, but he just always looks like a bad guy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's unusual.
He shined shoes for a wage.
Hey, Guy Pearce, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Will you
What a
please pass
dick.
that back?
Fling it at him.
Do not want us here.
Always a monumental symphony to the immigrant experience.
Oh yeah.
I like that powering performance. Best performance of his career. Astonishing, exhilarating.
It's
What a
the
great
picture.
That's John, and yeah, that's the poster.
Yeah.
Hmm. Coming soon, it already came.
It's here.
It's here now.
It's arrived. Interesting.
Oh, look, someone in the comments wrote, watched it, and it was so good, it didn't feel like a 3 hour and 35-minute movie.
Okay. Well, that's on good pacing and good editing.
Will it jump for $10 million? Wow. I don't know if that YouTube comment's true, but okay. Do you want to bend anything, Corinne?
Let me think. I think thematically I'm in the right area, but I don't know if it's Rise and Fall. You know what? It's the really long Hungarian architecture version of Minari. I think that's what it is.
That definitely gave me, it gave me a bit of those vibes, definitely.
Yeah, it seems like, okay, we see, I think his cousin sponsors him to the U.S. His cousin made it first and then brought him to the United States. I think that's the opening scene. And then he works in the coal mines because that's, you know, the only thing he can get, and then this Guy Pearce guy gets him, or that scene in the diner is he's telling about how it was the rise and fall, so then the story is the rise and fall, and
so it's
we see
it's a story within a story.
Maybe that's what it is actually, because that guy he was talking to looked like an FBI agent or something. For some, like, he was, like, really well-dressed and was giving him the pictures and was like, so you made all of this, etc. Like, it didn't seem... And then it seemed like
that
it was...
Guy Pearce.
Was that Guy Pearce?
Yeah.
Oh, in the nice suit? Okay. So then, sure, I guess he gets scouted by Guy Pearce to make a building in the quarry or whatever. But he's struggling to fit... Like, they think it's their big break, so they leave the city to this countryside, but they're struggling to fit in because Guy Pearce is playing a xenophobic, jingoistic sort of person, and like the wife seems to be very like what you were saying, like, oh, we just put up with it and then we can have the life we want. But then Adrian Brody is over here like, but it's the principle of the matter, like, it's eating away at my soul how much I have to fake the kind of person I am, where it's so obvious they don't like us and I'm just like a performing monkey for them, you know. And then it's a sad story about how the U.S. makes immigrant lives awful, but they somehow turn it into... But hey, they still got something.
They still survived. They still made it.
They persevered, and we're still calling it an American dream story or something like that. You know, I think that's what it's going to be. What about you? You want to amend anything?
I'm fine. I'm cool with what I did.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I mean, what I gave was based off the trailer anyway, so I don't feel like All right. We ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have the wiki and the IMDb. So, Wikipedia shows it as Overture and then Part 1, Part 2 Epilogue. So, maybe there was an intermission. Who knows?
One can hope.
All right, so Overture. In the Overture, we meet Adrian Brody's character, Laszlo Toth. Who's a Hungarian. Yeah, I love that.
Good name. I was about to say, good
name. It's a good, strong name, Laszlo. And you know what? Adrian Brody does look like a Laszlo.
He looks like a Laszlo.
If you told me his name was like Laszlo Brody, I'd be like,
yeah,
that's my boy Laszlo. Anyway, he is a Hungarian Jewish Holocaust survivor. And he is a Bauhaus trained architect. And Bauhaus is a German art school in the early 1900s. So he immigrates to the United States from Germany after he's forcibly separated from his wife Elisabeth and his orphan niece Sophia. And as his ship enters New York Harbor, he sees the Statue of Liberty. Okay, so in 1947, he travels to Philadelphia, where he stays with his cousin Attila.
Attila, another good name. My sister knew an Attila. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he's given permission to stay with his cousin Attila and his American wife Audrey while he looks for work. And Attila reveals to Laszlo that his wife Elisabeth and niece Sophia are still alive, but they're stuck in Europe. And so Attila is like, hey, Laszlo, come work for me in my furniture business. And so Laszlo ends up making makeshift bedroom. Oh no, never mind. He's given like a makeshift bedroom and a service bathroom, so he doesn't really have like that great of a room or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think Attila's son Harry surprises his father by asking him and Attila to renovate his study and his library of wealthy industrious Harrison Lee Van Buren. But Harrison is so upset about the condition of the renovations that he tells Laszlo and Attila to leave without paying them for the materials and labor. And then Audrey, the wife of Attila, accuses Laszlo of hitting on her, pursuing her.
Okay.
So Attila's like, "Hey, my dude, you gotta leave my house." And Attila has really assimilated really well into American culture. He's like changed his name now to like anglicized name, and he is also converted to Catholicism. So it's definitely different. Oh, it says following a drunken night of merriment, Audrey expresses her disdain for Laszlo and suggests he live somewhere else. And when Attila tells Laszlo to leave their home, he blames him for the project not working out and accuses him of having made a pass at his wife.
I see.
Oh my god. 3 years later, Laszlo is now a heroin addict.
Yeah.
This has... Crazy. Okay.
That's a whiplash.
Yes. I mean, he's working as a laborer in a loading coal, and he lives in a charity house with his friend Gordon, who is a African American single father, who he befriends shortly after he immigrates. And Gordon discovers that Laszlo has secretly been smoking heroin prior to their collaboration at that shipyard. And Harrison, I guess, comes back, the guy who was like, "Here, renovate this thing for me," and got mad and fired them, finds Laszlo, and he's like, "Hey, the architectural community has been coming to my library, and even though I hated it, they're like, wow, this is amazing, this is state of the art, it's beautiful." And he's like, "Hey, dude, I researched you, and you're an accomplished architect in Europe, aren't you?" So he pays the money that he owed Laszlo for that. But Laszlo and Gordon spend it on heroin, of course.
Oh my god.
And he invites Laszlo to a party in his honor, where he commissions a grand project in tribute to his late mother. So the Van Buren Institute, a community center comprising a library, theater, gymnasium, and chapel.
Big building, yeah.
Big
multiple
building,
buildings, yeah.
And because he basically wants to have a lasting legacy, right? Like, he wants something to represent him. So work begins immediately, and Laszlo lives on site, and he employs his friend Gordon. And Laszlo is introduced to Harrison's personal lawyer, who expedites the immigration of Laszlo's wife and niece.
Yay! Oh my god, but they've been apart for like 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Probably longer, because they were both in the concentration camps, I believe. So, because he didn't even know if she was alive, remember?
That's right, yeah. So it's probably, oh my god, like 10 years or something, yeah.
Who knows how long. So finally Ursabet and Sophia are able to immigrate to the United States. So that's the end of part 1. And now we are in part 2. So part 1 was called The Enigma of Arrival. Part 2 is called The Hardcore of Beauty.
The hardcore of beauty.
Yes.
Beauty hardcore. You couldn't call it like the tough core of beauty or...
The hard core of beauty.
The hardcore beauty. Hardcore.
So yeah, it is now 1953.
Okay.
Laszlo reunites with his wife Ursabet and his niece Sophia, and discovers that due to the wartime suffering, Ursabet is confined to a wheelchair from osteoporosis caused by famine, and Sophia is unable to speak. She's become a mute as a result of the conditions and traumas endured during the war and its aftermath. During construction, Laszlo clashes with contractors and consultants hired by Harrison, who depart from his design in an attempt to stay on budget. So the materials and the design of the center have been altered without his consent. And even though Laszlo plans to pay for the supplies he needs to realize his vision, Harry keeps telling him to keep his distance, claiming he is only, quote, tolerated. And he also makes obscene sexual references to Sophia, whom Laszlo advises not to approach, even though he may have already abused her.
What Harrison did to her?
I think so, yeah. Hold on. I'm going to read
What
that.
the heck?
Yeah, Laszlo warned Sophia to avoid Harry. Yeah, so I think it's implied that maybe Harry's already done something to her. So, following the derailment of a train carrying materials and ensuing legal costs, a furious Harrison abandons the project and fires the workers. He's very Trumpy.
Yeah, it's very hot and cold.
Yes, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
So
he's
the
playing
train that
to
was
type.
transporting the supplies crashes, seriously wounding two brakemen. And because of the anticipated legal fees and higher costs of transporting materials, Harrison, that's when he stops construction and fires Laszlo as well as the laborers. So now, it's now 1958. Jeez, how time flies in this movie. And Laszlo and Erzsébet have moved to New York City, where he works as a drafter at an architecture firm.
Okay, not bad.
Erzsébet writes for a newspaper, and Sophia now can speak. She's overcome her muteness and is expecting a child with her new devout Jewish husband, Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Binyamin.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I think it's basically Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin.
I just said it with the Y because I didn't know how else to say it. They announce they are making Aliyah, which is the immigration of Jews from the diaspora to the land of Israel, and moving to Jerusalem, much to the chagrin of Laszlo and Erzsébet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. To the new state of Israel, basically.
Yeah, this is...
And she's trying to convince her uncle and aunt to come with them. Meanwhile, Harrison contacts Laszlo to inform him that the library at his community center, they forego the library. Oh, I guess if they choose not to build a library at the community center. I'm just going to read this and you can see if it makes sense, because I'm a little confused. Harrison contacts Laszlo one day to inform him that if they forego the library at his community center in order to cover the legal expenses related to the train accident, they can complete the building on schedule and within budget.
He's saying if we don't do the library, then we can complete the project.
What I figured.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
the library is probably like Laszlo's pride and joy, though. I bet that's like the best part.
Maybe, because I mean, he did like fix up his personal library.
Yeah, he's probably like, that's what you want to cut?
Yeah. So he agrees, and Harrison restarts the project, rehires Laszlo.
Oh
my, wait, sorry. What?
Uh-oh.
Okay, so in order to secure the stone required to complete the building, Laszlo contacts an old Italian ally whose anti-fascist militia has taken control of a Carrara quarry. And while visiting the mines of Carrara to purchase marble, Harrison rapes an intoxicated Laszlo.
What?
Him, that's why I was like, what? Yeah, because calling him a societal leech whose people invite their own persecution. This guy's an asshole. Okay.
What?
He does a show of dominance.
Yeah.
And reprimands him for wasting his potential.
That's
after
a little...
getting wasted at a party the night before they depart for America.
It's a little heavy-handed of a
yes,
message.
And now Laszlo, of course, is traumatized. Back on site, a traumatized Laszlo begins to unravel, becoming more belligerent and impulsively firing his crew. And he even fires his friend Gordon after an argument. Referencing Harry's and Audrey's prior contempt, Laszlo means to Erzsébet that they are not welcome in America. Erzsébet runs out of painkillers for osteoporosis, and Laszlo almost kills her by giving her heroin to soothe her pain. And she proposes they move to Jerusalem to live with Sophia and her family, and he agrees. Shortly afterwards, Erzsébet, now using a walker instead of a wheelchair, confronts Harrison and his home and calls him a rapist in front of his family and associates.
He's about to push her down the stairs.
Oh my god, he's gonna do something, yeah. In a rage, Harry violently pushes her out before his sister Maggie intervenes and helps her leave. By the time Harry gets back to the dinner table, the guests have left and Harrison is no longer there. Unable to find his father... What happened to his father? I don't know. Harry organizes a search party and tries to locate him within the Institute. Harrison's fate is ultimately left unclear as an illuminated cross in the building shines upside down.
I thought Harry's dad was Attila, or is Harry's dad Harrison?
Attila is Laszlo's cousin.
So they don't have a kid.
No.
Harry is Harrison's son.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
No. Harry.
No? Because you're saying Harry and Harrison, so I'm like, who is
Harrison is Guy Pearce.
Okay, who's Harry?
Harry was mentioned at the beginning, right?
I thought that was Attila's son, but is Harry Harrison's son?
Harry Lee Van Buren. Oh my god.
Is he
why
the
are
sponsor?
names- I didn't realize I was saying different things. Okay, yes. Harry is Harrison's son.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Yes. All right. See, you caught that. I didn't. To me, they were all the same.
That explains what Harry was looking for his dad.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So yes, the son pushes out, and the daughter helps her leave, but then they can find Harrison. Okay. Epilogue. The first architecture biennale, Biennale.
By biennial?
Biennial? We sound so stupid. I'm gonna Google this. Is this an Italian word? Biennale?
Wait, what is it?
I don't know.
Biennn.
Ale. I think it's Italian.
Biennale, a large-scale
Biennale.
international art exhibit.
Okay, we'll just say Biennale.
Yeah.
So in 1980, Erzsébet has died, and there is a retrospective of Laszlo's work held at the Venice Biennale of Architecture. The exhibition showcases various projects built around the world during the ensuing years and includes the Van Buren Institute, finally completed after a decade's hiatus. Sophia, accompanied by her young adult daughter and an aging Laszlo, gives a revelatory speech asserting that Laszlo's designed spaces in the structure to resemble the Buchenwald concentration camp in which he was imprisoned, and the Dachau concentration camp in which Erzsébet and Sophia were imprisoned, and functions as a way of processing trauma. She ends by claiming that Laszlo once told her, "No matter what the others try and sell you, it is the destination, not the journey."
Oh. Is that the end?
Yeah, that's the end.
So he's saying it's not about how you get there, it's about getting there.
Yes.
It's about you arrived at where you wanted to be.
It's like, fuck all the fucking trauma. It's about the accomplishment, essentially.
Interesting. That is interesting in the face of the whole, it's not about the destination, it's the journey. And
he's like, no, the journey was fucked up. I don't care about the journey.
Yeah.
I overcame the journey to do this shit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Who directed this movie?
It's some guy I don't know.
Some guy I don't know.
Brady Corbet.
Okay.
Or Corbett. Corbet.
And then it was co-written by Mona Fastvold, who is Norwegian. Why is the picture... Oh, they're married.
The director and the writer?
Yeah. It's a husband-wife team, but they... yeah, they're married.
Looks like he's only directed, like, 4 full films.
Mm-hmm.
None of which I've ever heard of.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, Corinne. Thoughts, comments? This is the part where we go in.
This is where we go in. So they moved to Jerusalem?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Because now, I think, yeah, they're like, this was fucked up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let me reread this.
That's what it seems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the wife is like, hey, let's go to Israel, and he's like, all right, sure.
Yeah, and this is all completely fiction, right? This is not based on.
Yes, none of this is real. It might be loosely based on something, but I don't think it's. Oh, there was AI controversy?
Really?
Hold on. Before we get into, should I tell you this?
Yeah.
I'd pique your interest. Okay.
Get into
Post-production
this.
and AI controversy. Editing was completed by Hungarian editor David Jansko. In an interview with Red Shark News, Jansko revealed that artificial intelligence tools from Respeecher, a Ukrainian software company, were deployed in order to improve the authenticity of Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones's Hungarian dialogue. Both actors received dialect coaching, but the filmmakers wanted to perfect their pronunciation so that not even locals will spot any difference. Unsuccessful ADR work prompted them to record Brody and Jones's voice into Respeecher. Jansko, a native Hungarian speaker, also fed in his voice to finesse the tricky dialect. Director Brady Corbet issued the following statement after Janko's interview sparked backlash on social media. Brody and Jones's performances are completely their own. They worked for months with dialect coach Tanera Marshall to perfect their accents. Innovative Respeecher technology was used in Hungarian language dialogue editing only, specifically to refine certain vowels and letters for accuracy. No English language was changed. This was a manual process done by our sound team and Respeecher in post-production. The aim was to preserve the authenticity of their performances in another language, not to replace or alter them, and done with the utmost respect for the craft. Additionally, it was said that generative artificial intelligence was used to conjure a series of architectural blueprints and finished buildings in the film's closing sequence. In 2022, filmmaker article production designer Judy Becker claimed the film's architecture consultant used Midjourney to create 3 Brutalist buildings quite quickly. However, Corbet denied this in a subsequent interview. Judy Becker and her team did not use AI to create or render any of the buildings. All images were hand-drawn by artists. To clarify, in the memorial video featured in the background of a shot, our editorial team created pictures intentionally designed to look like poor digital renderings circa 1980. The director concluded by saying The Brutalist is a film about human complexity, and every aspect of its creation was driven by human effort, creativity, and collaboration. We are incredibly proud of our team and what they've accomplished here.
I don't think you need, like, I know sometimes we rag on actors or whatever for not sounding authentic, or like, what the hell is Daniel Craig's accent in Knives Out? But also, like, we all kind of love the weird accent, you know? And I know authentic accents is like a thing, but I don't think adjusting it with a software is the way to go. I think it's just like, how good is the actor? Because
it's like, if you really wanted it to be, I don't know, as authentic as possible, then you should have gone to Hungary and found Hungarian actors and actresses. Like, if that's really your intention, then why didn't you just do that? It's not like you couldn't find an actor who has the same capabilities as everyone, like, you know what I'm saying?
You know, I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%. And the generative AI stuff, I bet what they did is they used Midjourney to concept it, but then they did end up hand drawing based off the concepts, because he didn't say, he said the images were all hand drawn, and he said the images were not created or rendered by AI, but I bet they used it for the concepting. They're probably both correct. Where she said, oh yeah, we used it. And then he's like, well, no, technically, no, but I bet they used it for brainstorming or whatever, which I still don't think you should do. Okay. So, based solely on what I've heard, some things that raise my hackles. The first thing was why I asked about did they move to Jerusalem. It kind of feels like feeding into why we need Israel, quote unquote, because I've seen the argument of like Jewish people have been persecuted everywhere and don't belong anywhere, and that's why they need Israel, right? So in this film, we see a persecuted Jewish person emigrate to the United States, experience further persecution to like literally being raped, and then now that's the breaking point of, yeah, we should move to Israel. That gives credence to the idea of Israel deserves to exist, because without it, Jewish people don't have their own homeland, and we want to be with other Jewish people, which wanting to be in community with your people is not a bad thing, but it doesn't touch on how Israel, the country, was created, which was taking land away from people who were already there. And I'm not even going to get into, well, who did it actually belong to or whatever. I don't know if I like that it kind of supports the existence and creation of Israel. I think it's pretty overt in the film. Like, you know. So there's that. And that's why I was curious, like, who made this? You know, like, what is the background? Because, especially in, like, this context, like, this historical context with, like, all the shit going on with Palestine and how they're literally trying to just obliterate it completely off the map, and all of it's like, okay, why is that like so he left the he couldn't make it in the United States because the US chewed him up and spit him out, you know. It's just weird that they're like, yeah, we're just gonna go to Israel. Like, it makes sense historically, but these are not real characters, so this isn't even based on like this is what they ended up doing. It's like they wrote them this way. Yeah. So these are all intentionally made choices.
Yeah, because you could have been like, well, let's move out of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Or out of New York and go somewhere.
Yeah. Or let's go back to Hungary. You know what I mean? Yeah, or whatever, something, right? So that, I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't know how I feel about the rape scene, because it kind of feels like shock value. It feels like we went from, like, it was already kind of starting to feel a bit like trauma porn, and now it really went into their, like, we're just having every, like...
terrible thing happen to a person happen to a person.
Literally!
It really was. Like, even just when it was in part one, it was like, and now he's addicted to heroin.
And
I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean?
Like, out of all the drugs to be addicted to, it's not alcohol. It's not, like, you know, I don't know, he's
and
on
I
weed
think
or
also
whatever.
because
it's
there
heroin.
is a fucking time jump. Like, it's 3 years where it's like, oh, I was kicked out by my cousin and his wife.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, by the way, now I'm addicted to heroin. It's like, well, there's 3 years. I think maybe I would have liked to see
how did this happen? Like,
right?
Who was your dealer? Like, how did this...
Yeah. And again, like, this feels, like, this could have been a limited series. Right? Like, episode 1 is coming here. Episode 2 is, like, what happens after that. And then, like, the 53 or the 50, whatever it was. Like, again, it does feel like it's 3.5 hours long because you want to put so much in here.
Yeah.
But, if it's not based on, like, a real person, like, do we need all of this?
Yeah.
Could this not have been a longer, like, a television show?
Yeah. Exactly. So,
but yeah, I agree. It was a lot of like, oh, why is it happening? Like, why is that? And maybe when you're watching the movie, you're not questioning it, but as you read it, it is about like mundane and then wow, and then mundane and then whoa, and then mundane and it's like whoa, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it reminds me of A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, I think is the name, which was a book I had read a few years ago, and it has kind of was really, really praised by a lot of people. It was like, this is an incredible book. It's like the next gay masterpiece or something, even though the author is a straight Asian woman, as far as I know. But the entire cast is like queer men for the most part. But then someone wrote this incredibly scathing review of it, which I agreed with. And now people are a bit more like eyebrow raise about it. But in that book, she has a character named Jude, and literally it's like the trauma dumped character. Like, every awful thing you could think of has happened to this character. And he spends, like, the entire book trying to kill himself. Like, because, and you're like, what happened to him? What happened to him? You read the backstory, and it's like, this has got to be, like, this is too much. Like, what do you mean he got, like, it's just, like, it's almost too much to put in the episode, because it's just gratuitous. But it reminded me of, like, when I was online in the written roleplay community, and you have those people, you're 17, and you want to write an edgy character with, like, an edgy backstory, and you're putting every horrible thing you can do, and there's, like, no nuance. Like, it felt like that. And this reminds me of that. Where it's, like, he comes to the U.S., but he doesn't have his... So we're already starting with he's a Holocaust survivor. That's already dark and heavy. Comes to the U.S. with, like, nothing. He doesn't have his wife and his niece, so that's another thing.
Yeah, he doesn't even know if they're alive.
Yeah, doesn't know if they're alive. Gets kicked out by his cousin, heroin addict in the coal mines, and then when his wife finally arrives, she's in a wheelchair, and the
osteoporosis, the niece can't talk.
The niece is mute. Also, the niece is being sexually abused by your employer. And then...
The employer's son, I think.
The employer's son, yeah. And it's like... And then now, all of a sudden, you get raped, and now you're getting your wife kind of hooked on heroin, and you almost kill her. Like, it's like... So many things that, again, if this happened to a real person, makes sense. And I'm not saying this is not within the realm of possibility of happening to somebody, but this is completely fiction. Someone chose to write this kind of thing. And I think you can do that, but it makes me wonder, like, what... Like, coupled with the other stuff going on, like, what is the point? You know, it's, like, did you just want to write an immigrant story where they don't achieve the American dream, but they achieve, like, worldwide renown? Like, why are all these horror... Like, I know in filmmaking it's, like, put your characters through the ringer. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't traumatize your characters. I do it all the time. But it's just almost unbelievable. And then the whole, like... his employer raping him, I'm like, okay, we get it. The U.S. is, like, economically, you know, violating the people that try to live here and etc. But this is, like, a really heavy-handed, overt, obvious way of showing it. Maybe it's in the execution and it makes sense in the film and they've been dropping hints about it, but it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere and was just written for shock value and to, like, make physical the metaphor and the message they were trying to put through. But, and the other thing too, of, like, it adds another, like, entry into the, the villain is gay, you know, gay panic, he raped a man, that's, like, the scariest thing ever, like, you know, like, it also leads credence to that trope, which is, like, can we, like, not do that, you know, anymore? Like, we've already had so much, like, so it's just certain things. I'm like, I wonder, like, I don't think they completely fully thought through some of the tropes and messages that are going to come out of this movie based on the decisions that they were making. You know, like, that's what I was picking up on. It's like, okay, we have another villainous gay guy whose peak of villainy, the no turning back point is him raping another man. You know, and then we're also doing this whole story that kind of supports why we need Israel, you know, and paints it in a sympathetic light. And also this character is, every horrible thing ever is happening to him. And
George, please stop.
Also interesting that it was like his work is based on the concentration camps he stayed in. I don't know how to feel about that angle. Right now I feel neutral, but it is interesting.
Oh, it is. I mean, in the thing, it was like, in order to work through his trauma, he was like, I'm going to put it here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you have daddy issues and you write all your scripts about daddies, you know?
Yeah.
About single fathers, raising fathers. And those fathers are nothing like the author's father.
You
know, it's kind of like that, except it's kind of like that, except
I'm listening.
Except instead of it being about your daddy issues, it's like, I went through horrible trauma, and now I want everyone else to know,
witness it.
I don't know, witness it in a way, like this is
Yeah.
what it looked like, or this is what it felt like.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that is interesting to me. I don't know, like, I think it's...
I mean, I can understand a little bit, like, I can see how the Brutalist design, like, is within the concentration camps. So obviously it's going to be something, it's not built for beauty, it's just built to, you know, hold people or, like, whatever. Yeah. So I can see that connection of being like, well, clearly brutalism was used in creating concentration camps, right?
Was it, though? Because it didn't come out until the 50s.
I'm not saying it was. I'm saying I could see the idea of being like, the concentration camps themselves were like sort of brutalist in its design because of its utilitarian use, right? Like, this is just what it needs. We need to build it quickly. It doesn't need to be beautiful. It just needs to be useful. Yeah. Right? So I can see that sort of argument of being like, it's brutalist in its design. And so through, I don't know, using it, like, and sort of hearkening back to this, you could be like, all right, well, I don't know. This is what it felt like to be there. I don't know, right? But it is a bit strange because I don't know. Like, if you walk in there as you're building it, like, wouldn't you feel those feelings you felt? Like, how would that help you? I don't know, get over it. Because it's not like when supposed author is writing about her daddy issues, like, you're writing about those same issues, right? It's a bit more like that author is writing the daddy issues, like it's a different daddy issue.
You're getting a lot of
when I started,
I
was like, and I was like, oh no, wait, I'm making this about someone I know, someone you know. George, your nose is cold.
A friend of mine, not me, but a friend of mine.
It's not me. I don't know anyone like that.
It makes sense within the narrative, and I think part of me is like, but is this
it's
the
like
actual...
when someone says something and you're like, oh, that makes sense, and you take a minute to think about it, and you're like, wait, did it make sense?
Yeah.
Like when I'm reading my students' fucking AI papers, and I'm like, okay, because I'm tired and I'm reading it, makes sense, but then I go back and I read it, and I go, what does this mean?
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just like, but was this actually the history of it? Was it inspired? Because if it was inspired by it, then I'm like in actuality, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But if it wasn't, then I'm like,
well,
why are we being mean to brutalists? You know?
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's just this character.
Yeah.
Like, as he is creating whatever he's creating, he's hearkening back to, you know, the trauma-filled days of being in the concentration camp.
No, that makes sense to me. But my other criticisms still kind of stand of, like, things where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this in the film. It doesn't make me not want to see it necessarily, but it does make me raise an eyebrow and be like, what is the intent behind these decisions? You know, I'm like a little suspect at these narrative choices.
Well, I mean, I think it also goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? How can you expect us to sit through a 3.5-hour film? And it's like, well, because shit goes down, right? Like, if every time maybe you start to, like, nod off, like, oh, boom, he's addicted to heroin. All right, like, I'm nodding off. Boom, his wife's in a wheelchair. Okay, I'm nodding off. Like, he gets fired and we're threatening the so-and-so of sexual abuse, and you're like, oh, and, you know. Yeah. It does feel a little bit like that shock factor, because it was sort of like, I don't know. It did feel sort of sequential, right? Like, in this sequence, this terrible thing happens, and this sequence, this terrible thing happens.
Which, it could just be the fact it's a synopsis, and we're missing
a
lot of it, Which is, I'm like, maybe it's in the execution, it makes more sense. And I don't have a problem either with, like, the immigrant story is actually a lie. Like, the American dream is kind of a lie, because it is.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I don't have an issue. It's true. I don't have an issue with that. It's just, you know, certain things of certain...
I mean, if you're trying to say, right, like, the American dream is a lie, the film itself is saying it's a lie because of these terrible things. Yeah. And not because of, it's a lie because of actually this, right? Yeah. Because actually there is no really support system. No, actually, because America, despite being a country of immigrants, right, hates immigrants, right? It's because, you know, we don't and we don't help, and we make it difficult to immigrate, and we don't give you resources in order to learn English or do all this stuff and then expect you to be able to do it, right? Like, it's a lie because actually everyone else is trying to do the exact same thing, so there isn't enough honey in the pot for everyone, right? Like, right, as opposed to being like, oh no, it's a lie because if you come here, you know, your cousin's gonna get assimilated and his, you know, Anglo wife is gonna threaten you, and then you're gonna get addicted to heroin because heroin's on the streets, and you know, and it's like, no, like, those are possibilities, but that's not the reason the American dream is a lie, right? It's actually much more complicated than that.
It just feels like it was kind of made within a specific worldview and bubble, and it didn't consider the impact outside of it, you know. So, but that's just based on what we're hearing. We haven't watched it, so like I can't fully.
It's all hearsay.
It's all hearsay. It's all assumptions, which are famously really good things to make and base opinions and, you know, extrapolations off of. But it's interesting. I would be interested in watching it, but that's a big investment.
It's long.
Yeah.
It's have the movie playing while I'm playing a game on my phone kind of thing.
Yeah, but then I feel like I'd miss something, especially if it won best cinematography. You know what? It's a good airplane movie.
You know what? It probably is a really good airplane movie.
Yeah,
you're trapped.
Yeah, you gotta spend the time somehow. So
you're
it's
on
like,
a 4-hour flight. You might as well fucking watch a 3.5-hour movie.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't take the 15 minutes to leave and 15 minutes to land. So boom.
I'm waiting for a flight then. I'm watch this the next time I fly somewhere.
Next time you fly, pull up the Brutalist.
The Brutalist. Here we go, 3.5 hours. Let's cut my flight time in half. You know, I'm time traveling through this movie.
Let's do this. I just imagine you on the plane going, ah! Every time something happens, and the person next to you is just like, what the fuck is wrong with this person?
I gotta make sure I'm not sitting next to a child. Just be like, you can't see this right now. Not for you.
It's not for you.
Let me turn the brightness all the way down.
Oh my god, it's so dim you can't even see.
You just hold it right up. It's just on my phone and just watch it like this with my glasses on.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
Yeah.
All right, Corinne. How many stars are you giving this bad boy? What's your rating?
I'm gonna give it a 3.
I was gonna say I'll give it a 3. I mean, the shots we saw, like, it definitely looks
beautiful. Yes.
I'm sure Adrian Brody does an excellent job because he's a great actor. Felicity Jones is she's a great actress. I hate Guy Pearce, but he's a bad guy, so he's definitely, it's fine.
I bet it's an entertaining film to watch. Like, I think I would be engaged watching it, and I think I would be into it, and I would enjoy watching it. It's just thinking about the narrative and the messaging and the themes. I think that's kind of where my brain is like, will I like it based on what it's trying to say? But I think I will enjoy watching it based on what we've seen, so...
Okay, I can't wait for you to watch it so you can tell me all about it.
It might be a while.
Actually, Monze, I changed my mind. I'm so glad they moved to Israel, and I can't believe he got addicted to heroin, but it was done much better than in the synopsis.
Right.
I'm
a changed person.
Do a 180 like that, but
I'm prepared to be wrong about it, but this is just how my initial thoughts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna ask you this time, Corinne. Oh no, I need to. Where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram at We Don't Watch Movies Pod, and you can find me at Karina's Korean. Monze, where can they find you?
You can find me at Magic Monster.
Ooh,
on Instagram.
Nice.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. You can just look it up.
You can just look it up.
Google it.
We follow each other, so.
That's true, we do
You
follow
find
each
one
other.
of us, you'll find the other one.
Yes.
So, yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.